Thank you, sir. All right. So, how many homeowners are going to be reluctant to list their properties? Let's talk about that for a minute, right? Okay. So, throughout much of 2023, homeowners who might otherwise consider selling their homes are reluctant to do so. Main reason: mortgage rates, right? So, if somebody is sitting in a property right now with a 2.3, 2.7, 3.5, whatever it is, what motivates them to let go of that and go into an 8% rate? That's going to be a very difficult decision for somebody to make. It's going to be a life-changing experience. And we have to be present for those life-changing experiences because people will still have to move. There will be job transfers due to job losses. There will be city transfers due to city restraints, right? People are leaving. People are coming to Miami every single day. Miami and South Florida is like a mecca for everybody. But at a very similar rate, believe it or not, people are leaving South Florida because of the cost of living. So they're going to places like Cape Coral. They're going to places like, Sarasota. They're going to places like Jacksonville. They're going to places like Texas, Tennessee, Louisiana. They're leaving. And if they can find work in those places, they're going to make those changes. What does that open the door to? If people are coming down and people are leaving, which is happening in so many states right now, what do you think that opens the door to? It opens the door to potential listings and potential buyers. And it's going to happen no matter how we look at it. It's just not going to happen at the rate that it was happening in 2023, 2022, 2021, right? That rate is gone. Forget about the movement that was happening there. Now, the Fed's going to keep trying to push the rates and make it better. And it says, there's a quote from a survey. It says the vast majority, 86% of those planning to sell their home in the next 12 months are also planning to buy a new home. And because most of these sellers will be taking on a new mortgage, this creates a major affordability hurdle. In fact, 82% of the seller buyers feel locked in by their current low mortgage rate. As a result, more than half of seller buyers, 56%, who are planning to sell in the next 12 months said they're going to wait for the rates to come down, while 25% need to sell for personal reasons. Exactly what we just said, right? There's going to be life-changing shifts that happen, and those things are going to force people into movement. That movement is going to exist. The question is, will you be there to take on that movement? That's the question. That's where we lie. That's where we have to think about where we are positioning ourselves in a marketing manner. And do people know us? And are people paying attention to us, right? And so the market is actually calling this the mortgage rate lock-in effect, right? Like it has a name. Of course, we name everything that goes wrong in the United States, right? But this has a name. It is the mortgage rate lock in effect. And so this is going to continue to happen for a little while until the Federal Reserve can put upward pressure on mortgage rates and other type of borrowing costs, right? Let's be real about that, okay? Now, number two thing that we're going to be facing in 2024 at a very high level is continued inventory shortage, partly due to trend number one that we just talked about. So part of the reason why we're going to face a significant shortage is because people feel locked into their homes, so they don't feel comfortable putting up their house for sale. That's going to create a major shortage, or it has already created a major shortage of available homes for sale listings. Now, there are ways for us to get around this. And so we have to get ourselves out of the mentality of believing that we need new developers and the MLS to show us what's on the inventory. What we really need to start focusing on is, if I have buyers, I need to go find those properties. I need to go create those opportunities outside of just searching the MLS and going, there's nothing here, sorry, right? Or a new developer that says, hey, sorry, we're, whatever the problem is, right? The next piece is you going out and knocking on doors the same way that a wholesaler sees a blue tarp on a property, or an investor sees a blue tarp on a property and jumps out the car to go knock on the door to see if they're willing to take some money for that house. Now it's your opportunity to go do that. And knock on the door and say, hey, by the way, houses in this area are X amount of dollars. Would you be willing to sell? And there's going to be some commission battles there, by the way, because if you do have a significant buyer that you actually bring to the table and you look at them and you say, would you be willing to pay me a commission if I bring a buyer that is absolutely truly interested in your home, and they say yes? Well, then you're going to have to talk about that with them, and you're going to have to negotiate that rate. And they're going to look at you and go, why should I give you 6%? You didn't take pictures. There's no website. It's not on the MLS. There was no video. There was no nothing. And you might have to negotiate that down. And that's going to happen. That's just the way the market is, right? And so the factors that have created a perpetuatory or perpetuated a current income shortage or inventory shortage is definitely insufficient new home construction. There is not enough new home construction happening. And for most cities, there's not enough space for new home construction to happen, especially in major cities. And then other major cities are creating high-end new home construction. I know that Miami's super over exaggerated with how much high-end new construction we're creating. Austin is in a very similar situation. I've been spending a lot of time in Austin lately, right? And so I look at, like Sarah Thompson just wrote, Austin has the highest inventory we have seen in the last 8 years and 4 months. People are selling. But do you have enough buyers for that market? That would be my question to you, right? Because I know it's not cheap to buy in Austin. I know it's not cheap to buy in Austin, right? And so when I was looking at the Austin numbers, I think it was last month, there were 1,200 homes that moved. That's not enough. Not for a market that strong, not for a market that big, right? And so those are some of the situations. So definitely insufficient new home construction. Now, why do you think there's insufficient new home construction? There's a few reasons. One, land value is expensive, so new home developers are not looking to buy new land, right? It's very expensive right now. Prices are high. The other part is our inflation situation. Everything else is high too. So if my wood is expensive, if my concrete's expensive, if gas is expensive, if food is expensive, if salaries are high, if water is expensive, if all of these things compound a very expensive situation for me to actually build, why would I build in today's market? Why not wait for inflation to take a break on us and make food cheaper and concrete cheaper and so forth and so on, right? And then the next piece is, the Federal Reserve pushing out a published report entitled "The Housing Market Tightness Due to COVID-19, Increased Demand and Reduced Supply." So that happened right after, remember, COVID time. The market went nuts, everything got picked up, and now where are we? And so this is the effect that we're facing, right? So we have people making quotes. These are quotes that I jotted down. So I'm looking at my notes on my side, so bear with me. My rate is locked in at 2.25%. I don't want to lose that nice low rate, but I am ready and have been ready to sell and buy something slightly more remote with a little more land. Do I wait until rates fall? My mortgage is down on a house? I don't know what to do. What do you think this person should do? What do you think this person should do at this point, right? And so most people are thinking what to do indeed. Like, this is a major mindset shift, right? Now, anyone that's been in the real estate game long enough will tell you there is never a bad time to buy in real estate, because real estate's cyclical. If I buy an expensive property with a high rate right now, and I do it because I want to get a little more remote and have a little more land, which we're seeing a lot of that as well. People want to get out of the major city. They want to find less expensive stuff, but the interest rates are so high. So what happens if I do this, what happens when interest rates come down? I can refinance my house and get a better interest rate, right? And then what happens if prices come down and now my house, I owe more than it's actually worth? Don't do anything. Keep paying your mortgage, You're not going to sell at that moment. You can't sell at that moment because you have no equity in the house, right? Hold it. Because again, real estate is cyclical. Prices will come back up. These are market shifts that have historically happened since we've been recording real estate. Since we have understood recording real estate, it has been 100% the case. Real estate is cyclical. Prices go down, prices go up. Interest rates go down, interest rates go up. Inflation goes down, inflation goes up. It happens. Right now, what we are facing is like the perfect tsunami. We have inflation problems. We have a looming war that just came out of the woodwork, right? We have interest rates that are higher. We have low inventory. Prices are not coming down, which is one of the next theories is number 3, which is home prices rising in most cities, partly due to trend number 2. There's not enough inventory. And if there's not enough inventory, the people who do have inventory are saying, why should I lower my price? Where else are you going to go? That's the mentality, right? Low quantity, high price. Think about a special edition Ferrari. We're only making 25 of these. Like a normal Ferrari might cost you 300 grand. But this special edition designed by whoever, there's only 25 of these in the entire world. All of a sudden, that car's worth $2 million. How do you go from 300,000 to 2 million on a car? Because there's only 25. And so people want it. How does it become 2 million? Well, they retail bought it because they pre-ordered it 2 years in advance because they had the inside note. They bought it for $1 million. They brought it home. Now there's 25 in the entire world. 2 guys crashed the car. Now there's 23 in the entire world. Right? And a guy says, you want my car? There's only 23 in the whole world. Pay me 2 million. And somebody will do it. Right? So this is the way that this works. And so you're going to see prices rising in most of the cities. You're going to see at least 1% risings. It's not going to be your 10% year over year or any of that nonsense. But on the selling side, you're going to see a lot of people kind of holding steady with their pricing and saying, this is not enough inventory for me to want to get super excited about selling my property. Right? Now, next thing is high inflation could dampen market activity in 2024. Let's play it. Inflation plays a role in the real estate industry outlook for 2024. Overall, inflation will have a cooling effect on the market by reducing the purchasing power and motivation of would-be buyers, right? They're definitely going to cool it off. Inflation is a problem. What do? Do I go pay higher rates on a house? Or do I stay where I am because I'm forced to pay higher expenses on gas, food, electric, light, heat, cooling, right? The things that are a requirement of life for me to take care of my family, right? When milk is $7 and eggs or whatever, you know, like I don't even know the prices. I'm not going to lie to you. But the stuff is expensive. $200 at the grocery store doesn't get you much of anything anymore. It used to, right? Is that going to change? I don't know. Will inflation begin to come back down? The theory is yes. The Federal Reserve is already taking positions in creating casting to allow us to push our inflation down. Problem is, whatever they do now is not really going to affect us till late 2024 or 2025. It takes time. It's not an overnight fix. So whatever they do now, whatever money they pump in, or whatever shifts that they do in rate, trying to bring it back, trying to bring inflation back to 2%, right? Keeping it at a normal rate. It's going to be 2025 easily. Vanguard, one of the biggest investors in the entire world, actually says this. They said, and I wrote this down, Vanguard foresees developed market core inflation, which excludes food and energy prices, continuing to fall through the end of 2023 from recent generational heights. But We expect it will be in late 2024 or even 2025 before inflation falls back to central bank targets, which is mostly around 2%. That's when we'll begin to see, you know, all the stuff in the world that we pay for right now. That's when we'll begin to see prices steadying out and becoming more normalized. When that happens, people will feel more apt to spending more money on their home. Because if the home is expensive and eggs, milk, and cheese is expensive and gas to get to work is expensive, and even if you drive a Tesla, your electric bill keeps rising every month, it's still expensive to live. So if it's expensive to live, you're trying to keep the cost down on where you live, right? More level playing field between buyers and sellers, you know? So as we've seen, some trends have occurred over the past year that could benefit sellers in 2024. Inventory declines over the past 8 months, for instance, could help sellers attract more offers, right? So there's going to be more buyers that are going to place more offers because of low inventory and everything else we've just talked about right now, right? And so there's a weird situation happening, and it's an odd situation because we're seeing is high inventory, high prices still rising because of, low inventory, high prices still rising because of low inventory, sellers holding out and not being in a rush, some sellers holding on to property and saying that I want to sell, I have enough equity to sell, but why would I sell? Where would I go? Then some life happens, and then some of those changes are going to be happening, right? Then we have inflation that plays a factor, right? And then right now, God knows, only God knows what's going to happen with the looming situation that's happening on the other side of the world. Because historically, when the other side of the world all gets into a fight, we get pulled in at some point too. It's just going to happen. Look at any part of history where there has been a United States, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, I can keep going, right? Every conflict on the other side of the world, if everyone starts arguing, we get involved, right? And so for whatever the reason that means, protecting assets, being the world's police, I don't know, like everybody has their own view on this, and I don't want to turn this political, but we're going to get involved. And when we get involved, believe it or not, and this is the craziest thing I'm probably going to say in this entire thing, historically, war makes money. It's a sad situation, but historically, war makes money. And when war makes money, the country gets healthier. When the country gets healthier, inflation lowers, interest rates lower, housing inventory begins to happen, movement begins to happen, soldiers come home, families want to move to a different place. You know, things just change. And it's unfortunate, but it happened after World War I. It happened after Vietnam's 20-year battle. It happened after World War II. It happened after COVID. There are specialists that said that COVID had a world war effect on the economy because it affected the entire world. The world wasn't in a fight with each other. The world was in a fight with a disease. And it forced job loss. It forced situations that were very similar to world war effects. So we're going to see a lot of that coming up over the next, God knows, 2023, the finishing 2024. I think the end of 2023 will probably be one of the slowest. Here's what I'm going to plead with you to do. And this is where it comes in. This is one of the best pieces of advice I ever got when it was 2008, late 2008, early 2009. There was this rock star agent in Miami Beach, and she was just selling property. And I didn't understand it because every other rock star agent in Miami Beach was working at TGI Fridays, right? And so I'm wondering, what is this lady doing? Now, being who I am, I go to ask her. I call her up, I asked her if I could take her out for coffee. And we went out and we had coffee in Miami Beach. And I asked her, how did you stay in the market? And she said to me, I was smart. I said, okay, you dig in. She goes, I never stopped marketing. Even when I was slow, nobody knew I was slow. And I said, really? And she said, yeah, Dave. She goes, look, you can pull up the MLS and know that nothing was moving for at least a couple months, like not one home, right? For at least a couple months. But when it started moving again, everyone thought that I was the only one moving properties in those 2 months. And so when we started moving again, people started to pick me up because I didn't stop buying the bus benches. I didn't stop buying the signage. I didn't stop buying the ads. I didn't stop promoting myself. I didn't stop announcing myself. I didn't stop wearing my jacket with my name on it. I didn't stop any of that stuff. I kept promoting and kept marketing my skills, my efforts, and everything that I was building and doing. And as long as I kept marketing and promoting myself, no one had to know that I took a big hit in the real estate market. And when the market decided to start moving again, I was a viable option because optically, I looked like I had never stopped moving anyway. And I said, well, how did you afford so much of this? And she goes, David, negotiate. She said, bus stops used to be $200 per stop. Now they were $40 per stop. Right? So she said, all I had to do was call them and say, hey, listen, I got to stop because the market's crazy right now. And they said, well, what can we do to keep you? And she got them down from 200 a month to 40 a month. And when she got them down to 40 a month, she bought 10 more. Right? And she did that because she was able to invest whatever she had earned prior into these tough moments. Some of you have saved your money, done what you needed to do to be able to invest into the tough moments. Some of you enjoyed the good moments a little too much maybe, and don't have enough to invest into the bad moments. What I'll say is this: social media is still free, right? Talking to people, still free. Walking around your neighborhood and knocking on doors, still free. Oh, but Dave, I need a flyer. You don't need shit. All you need to do is build relationships, knock on doors, and talk to people. That is it. It does not matter that you're going to knock on 100 doors and 100 people are going to tell you, listen, this is a crazy market. There's no way I'm selling. But you know what will happen? One day you're going to be hitting those 100 doors and they're going to go, listen, I'm just going to use Zara because I'm looking at you. But they're going to say, Zara, listen, I haven't been able to pay my mortgage in 3 months. I don't know what to do. I lost my job. And you're going to say, well, there's an opportunity to do a short sale so that you can sell the property with dignity and not lose it to the bank and be separated without fault from the property, right? There's so much opportunity for you if you stay in front of people and if you keep coming back to things like this. I'm not the only person in the world talking about this. I love that you're here with me, but there is YouTube. YouTube's free, right? Unless you pay for the red, but YouTube is free. Research is free. Google is free. There's so much information out there that is the time for you to become the ultimate sponge and snatch as much of that information you can and put the majority of it to work. Now, I know I should probably be promoting my book. Can you pass me that book over there? The hardcover one. I know I should probably be promoting my book more than this book, but this gentleman here wrote this book. You can only buy it on his website. Okay. I truly believe that this book right here could be a game changer for many of you. Because what he talks about in this book is simply learning how to create lead flow at a high level. And he talks about them in different manners, all the different ways that he creates lead flow for his multi-million-dollar companies, and all the different ways you can create lead flow. Everything from calling, from content, from everything under the sun. Look at Juan's got both my books. Love you, brother. So everything that you can achieve, who would be the author, Kathy? It's Alex Hormozi. Amazing guy. YouTube him. Great stuff. Great book. Big hardcover. Okay. Lots of great stuff. I actually bought 10 of them and I gave some away to my team. Like, the information that you're going to get in there is really how to systematically create the lead flow that you need for your business. Okay. Look at Kathy. Yes, I love you, Kathy. For some of you that are wondering what's going on, I've written 2 books already. So, some of you folks have it. I love you guys. I appreciate it. The 3rd book is going to be Insanity. Yes, it is signed. I love it. So, I want to really, really, really harp on the fact that if you stay in the game, you're going to be fine. Now, so I had somebody reach out to me the other day. I got to get a job. I got to get a job. There's no way around it. I got to get a job right now. I got responsibility. I said, you know what? Do what you got to do. But this is the only thing I'm going to ask you to do. Do not go on social media screaming, I just got a new job. Stay on social media screaming, I still sell real estate. Somebody wants to meet with you on a Tuesday at 12 p.m. and you got to go to work. You tell them, unfortunately, I'm booked already. Is it okay if we meet around 6? You do what you got to do. But don't let go of this amazing career that creates so much benefit for so many people. And what many of you will find is that the opportunity will always exist no matter what kind of market we're in. No matter what kind of market we're in. All right, so I'm going to read through some of these comments so I can address some things. Maybe there's some stuff in here. Kathy says, slow through 2025. Darn, yep, for sure. All right, use the equity to buy down the rate and purchase price. It's true, Stephen, absolutely. You can use equity to buy down rates. Look, there's going to be opportunities where you can get the seller to help you buy down the rate. And that's going to be a reality too, because even though the prices stay high and the sellers are going to stay strong on their pricing, they're going to also feel the effect of being on the market for significantly longer. And so if you come across and you say, hey, listen, I'm willing to help you purchase your house, but this is the credit that I'm looking for. And the purpose is to buy down my rate from 8% to 7% or whatever the case is. I'm just using numbers, right? So that it becomes a more affordable option for me at the price that you're trying to sell it to me at. That might make sense. So think about that on that side too. Natalie says sellers are hanging on because they're waiting for the rates to go down and they can charge more for their home, not even because they want lower interest rates for themselves. That is true. That is true. And that's a battle you have to face. And that's going to be one of those situations where they're going to sell when it becomes a necessity, right? And so this is where marketing really, really dials in, right? The more you market, the more you market, the more you market. Listen, people go, how do I know when somebody should be ready? I don't know. Can you predict divorce? Can you predict marriage? Can you predict a new baby coming? Can you predict twins, right? Can you predict these things? You can't, right? Can you predict a death in the family that leaves somebody a home that makes them really think I should sell my home to go to that home because that makes the most financial sense for me? Like, you can't predict these things. Or death in the family that creates a probate situation. I just did one of those right now. We're closing it today, right? Like, you can't predict these things. So the more focused you stay on marketing yourself and being predictive, the more people see you. Trust me, you guys are hearing this and you're going to do it. There's going to be 1,000+ other people that don't do it. They're going to become so depressed and so unmotivated that they're going to stop marketing themselves. You can't be that. Okay. Juan says, why sell a good investment? You're right. It's going to be necessity. Look for expires and cancels on your MLS. What are your thoughts? Is there a great opportunity? Right. So some folks that they're expires or they canceled, reach out to them, go knock on the door. Hey, I noticed you couldn't sell their house. Listen, I'm a big, you guys hear me say knock on the door, right? Often. You've almost never heard me say cold call, right? Because I hate cold calls. Everyone here hates cold calls. I don't care how you put it. I don't care how good you are at them. They suck. And even worse, it's worse being on the receiving end of that cold call. How many phone calls a day do you receive trying to sell you NAR approved life insurance or NAR approved health insurance? Right? Like, it is a lot. And so when a home expires, there are 700 realtors calling. And you don't want to be one of the 700. You want to be one of the ones that knocks on their door and says, hey, what's up? How you doing? I see your house fell off the market. Can I ask you why? My realtor sucked. Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that. Right? Because that's typically the answer. You know, I'm so sorry to hear that. Can we have a conversation on this and see if I can help you with anything? How can I be of service? Right? I'm one of the top agents in the area. How could I be of service? Pre-foreclosures are a way to get listings. Absolutely, darling. Absolutely. That is a way to get listings. People who are facing the battle. There are ways to research this on Remind. There are ways to research it on other systems. Communication with banks and speaking to them and being put on their list for REOs. There's so much opportunity out there in the pre-foreclosure market. Okay. Good buddy of mine, Tony Martinez, good friend, owns the CDPE, which is a certified distressed property expert. And he talks about how short sales and foreclosures are going to be an all-time rise over the next couple of years. And as that continues to happen, we need to be positioned and understand how to absorb that business. September 2023 had 2,300 homes sold in Austin, Round Rock. All right. Had 10,000 active homes. That's a big disparity, Sarah. I'm glad that you guys had 2,300 homes sold. I know that you guys have something like around, how many agents do you guys have there? Sarah, unmute yourself if you're still here. Are you still here? Yeah, there you are.
I'm still here. Yeah.
How many agents do you guys have in Austin? I've heard of a couple different numbers.
I think around 16,000, but I've also heard that about 9,500 did not renew this last time.
What?
Yeah, I don't know that that's accurate. I haven't gone to research that number.
Like a lot. I think that would be like record breaking.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people in our market have been saying that they need to go find other jobs and have gone and found other jobs, and they've just put their license on hold.
So you're downtown. So you guys understand, if you don't know Austin very well, Austin's one of the fastest growing up and coming cities in the United States. But it is coming up. It very much reminds me of South Florida 15 years ago, right? Where downtown was desolate, and then all of a sudden there were these beautiful high rises everywhere, but most of them were empty because we couldn't sell them for shit. Because all we had was restaurants and big buildings, and that's what Austin kind of looks like right now, right? But what's kind of cool about Austin is that it has all of these outlying areas that are close enough to Austin to feel like you live downtown, but you don't really live downtown, right? And you can have an acre of land 40 minutes away, 30 minutes away at a decent price. Am I right, Sarah? There's still opportunity.
There is definitely still opportunities, and the builders are building like crazy. They are dropping their prices quite a bit. They are offering incredible buy downs. So I have like Perry Homes is at 5.49% for 30-year fixed. Wow. I think Braun was doing 3.99. I don't know if they still are in certain neighborhoods. It's not every neighborhood. Right, it kind of depends on location and that sort of thing. And yes, those high-rise buildings are crazy. It reminds me of Houston back in the 80s. And you know, fun fact for Austin is it used to be no building could be taller than the Capitol building. And now you look and we're getting ready to have one of the tallest buildings in Texas downtown.
Yep.
So that's insane. It's definitely growing, and we have to, because you can only go so far out. So now they're going up.
Yeah. And it's incredible because we're talking about Texas here, the place that probably still has the most land available, you know, in comparison to like Montana, right? So it's pretty incredible to see that growth over there. And you just mentioned something really critical. This is a sign of the times when developers start offering that kind of stuff, incredible buy downs on rates. Raising, like, listen, during the height of the market, there were developers that were doing 1%. There were developers that were saying realtors not welcome. You don't get paid. Yep. Right? Now yeah. They will give you 6, 7, 8% if you could sell one of their properties. right?
I'm seeing up to 8% here, yes.
Yes, 8% commission, bonuses, buy down for the client. They're like creating the perfect environment for somebody to go, okay, that makes sense. Rentals here, we're starting to see you could rent a place with half a month. That's it. You don't even need first last security anymore. You could come into these rental buildings and they call it insurance. What you're buying is insurance on your first last and security, and then they give you a 14-month lease, which basically means you get 2 months free at the house and then your 12-month lease begins. So there's a lot of signs of the times that are coming up right now for tremendous opportunity, right? Short sales is not hard. You just need to have patience. You're right, Zara. I was the short sale king in 2008, 2009, 2010. I was the first year that we had short sales in South Florida. I knocked out like 60 plus short sales. And this was before Equator, before all the cool programs, before banks even knew what the hell they were doing. I had files that were like this thick of people's information, and I was faxing it to the bank pages at a time, hoping that the fax wouldn't get interrupted on page 50, but yes, they're not very difficult to do. They just requires patience. It requires you to stay following up with the bank at a high level. All right, the author, I gave you Alex Hormozi. Real Talk Con, yes, the Real Talk Conference, the follow the plan, destroy the competition. I love that you remember that, Kathy. And we still talk about that at a super high level. Follow the plan, destroy the competition. Follow the plan, destroy the competition. If you stay consistently in front of everybody's face, that is a part of your plan. That will destroy tremendous amounts of competition you don't even know, that will just fall off, because even your competition will look at you and think that you're selling 50 homes a day. That's what you want, right? Stay relevant. I did Uber my first year and a half in real estate until I made a name for myself. I asked for closing costs for all my buyers, not this year, just because all my sales this year were cash. Awesome. Yeah, why not? You don't know if you don't ask, right? And so people are afraid to ask. Oh no, this is not the market where we do that. Shit, ask. I bought my house and got 5% back from the seller at the height of the market, right? Sellers' contributions will be bigger. You are right. I always have a buyer. I hate cold calling. Yes. Has there been any more talk about Hometown Heroes program possibly coming back? I've heard about it. There is a vote that's pending about, and this is a Florida thing I think Steven's talking about, but in Florida, we had a Hometown Heroes program, and it was for anyone in the hero service industry. So like police, firefighters, veterans, active duty military, nurses, things of that nature. And there was a set amount of money into the Hometown Heroes program, but now there's a vote happening to see if they renew it and if they put more money into it. I don't know which way that's going to go, just considering kind of the way that everything's happening right now. So we'll see what happens. But, listen, if I was sitting in the chair, I would absolutely vote for it. Juan says, I'm buying in Austin. For sure. Me too. All right. And then I did not like Hometown Heroes. Only the house was under 200K, but it depended though. There were other opportunities in other situations. So, when you work with veterans too, it's a unique situation because you get the Hometown Heroes program plus 0% down. So sometimes you get these guys into the program and there's no money out of pocket, which is insanity. Go ahead, Zara. You can unmute yourself.
Just feel like there was better programs in the Hometown Heroes, because this is unforgivable. And I don't think anybody was explaining that to their buyers. So when you have these buyers presenting the Hometown Heroes, no one was sitting there and saying, hey, do you know you got to pay this money back? So let's say in 30 years, I want to sell the house. Now you got to pay this money back. And what happens if, I don't know, I'm sorry, let's say 5 years and you don't have enough equity to pay this 5% money back? I just feel like those better options. There were options as just 1% conventional, or they could have got another program like Genoa Fund and just have the sellers pay the closing costs. I think that would have been a better option. But
Correct.
under 200,000, you got to pay back 5% out of 250. Imagine, that's a lot of money, I think. I don't
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah.
was never a fan.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I think though, some people at this point in time would probably be willing to take the risk in consideration, you know? And it is what it is. These programs are designed to help properties move. But you're right, they're gonna put them in situations down the road, you know? And it's scary. It's just a new program with a new name in consideration to what we were doing in 2008 and 2007, 2006, 2005. Man, I would sometimes close the same property 3 times at the same table with everybody sitting there, you know? And it would be like 100,000, then 150, then 200, then like 250, you know? And it was like wholesale after wholesale after wholesale. And you're just sitting there going, I'm making commission on 4 deals on the same house today. It was insanity. It was way too much. It was the craziest time. We're just rebranding it and renaming the problem, you know? But we almost can't fault it, and we almost can't get mad at them, because at the same time, what do we do? How do we help the community move property? Because at the end of the day, if property stop moving, it creates a much, much bigger problem in our communities, because home sales fuel the economy. Right. All right, guys, it is 11:50. Glad that we got to spend some time together. And again, I won't be doing this for the next 3 weeks. Maybe I'll get somebody put in my place. For the next 3 weeks, I'll be traveling consistently. But looking forward to seeing you guys. And I will see you guys in a month, in 4 weeks. All right. Y'all take care.